Hey, welcome to Musings, episode number 210. How you doing, Scott?
I am doing well. This is our last official spring show. Next week we'll be in summer.
That is true, though. We've had some nice hot weather here in Michigan, which is great. I've been enjoying it. Although it cooled down a little bit yesterday, which is a cool down here was still in the nice high 70s, and I was really enjoying that a lot. So
it's funny how fast we adapt to whatever the situation is, where after that string of 90 plus degrees, 75 actually felt slightly chilly. In a nice way, but I was like, ooh, I might need a coat. Whereas the same weather 2 months ago, we'd be like, oh, we're dying.
Yeah. it's too hot. Differences, but after a nice string of high 80s this last couple weeks, it was a welcome little cool off. I shut the air conditioning off to open some windows so I get some air flowing through again. But I was out last night and I got some ice cream last night, and it was a little chilly. I was like surprised how chilly it was. So I was like, oh geez, but it was nice. I mean, of course, that was also when the sun was starting to go down, the breeze had picked up a little bit, and then got up this morning. And when I looked at the thing around 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning, it was like 60 degrees outside. So I was like, okay, it definitely cooled off last night. So that's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I like the heat. It doesn't bother me as much, but I like when we get a little more moderate weather like this. It's definitely make more tolerable. So.
Yeah. And there was like the perfect breeze going on that I just absolutely loved.
Yeah, we actually had a really good spring day instead of going from January weather to August weather like we've been doing lately. So
definitely.
And all that. So kick off before we hit the sponsors here. I was talking to Scott beforehand. We lost a friend. Scott, you said you really didn't know Julie as well, but you knew her husband, John.
Yeah, I know her through the shows. And most of my dealings were directly with John, but I knew Julie through John, and there was an unexpected loss this week for John's family here.
Yeah, he had posted, I believe it was Friday night, that she had passed away unexpectedly overnight.
Yeah.
Was not expected, was not ill or anything that we know of. They haven't given any cause in that, but they're having a memorial service tomorrow. It's in West Virginia. I knew Julie through the shows, of course, but her and John ran the West Virginia Pop Con. They have a comic shop, Comics Paradise, down there in Morgantown area and one of the other cities nearby. I probably knew Julie well over 10 years.
I remember when they were before West Virginia PopCon was created. Mm-hmm. I remember they were doing heavily hitting the Comic-Con circuit, scouting for artists to do their upcoming show, and I got to meet them at a number of shows. Like you said, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. They were regulars, and they were talking about this show they were going to do, and then they did it, and it was such a great show too. Absolutely love doing West Virginia.
Yeah, I love to go in there. There are a lot of great people. And Julie was a fan of my work, so she always bought stuff for me when I see her at Pittsburgh Comic-Con. We'd see her at Baltimore. I see her there, and then a couple others they pop in, and then a couple of times I know she messaged and said if she wasn't going to be there, but John would be there and stuff like that. But her and I didn't chat a ton, but we did a little bit, and then until I get to see her, she was definitely awesome person. She loved everything, comic booky, geeky stuff, and was just a great person. And she really ran that show. She was the one to make sure everything went there and stuff like that. There's nice
every memory I have of her too is always a smile on her face, very pleasant. Wonderful, wonderful woman. And from reading, and John has, he's going through a lot of grief right now. And our prayers are definitely with him to get through this. But he has been writing some beautiful posts these last, and that can be hard to do when you're in the middle of grief. But he's been writing some wonderful posts about his wife there, and I feel like I got to know her even better through his postings that he has done.
Yeah, and everything he posted, I would attest from what I knew her as a friend and stuff like that, was definitely spot on. There wasn't any embellishments. Sometimes people over embellish things when people pass, and it was on. She was truly that type of genuine person. I know, like for the shows, her parents, her dad built the TARDIS they had at every show. They were always there helping out. Same thing with John's parents. They always came around at the shows and said hi and things like that. And you could tell where both of them come from good parents and that. And
it was more of a, in this day of Comic-Cons becoming more and more corporate too. West Virginia PopCon was a very refreshing, it's a family run show, and it was part of the community, and it wasn't just some large corporate entity who was kind of just turning it into this celebrity signing mega monster. It was still a Comic-Con.
Yep. Artist heavy, good vendors. I know T-Minus 24 had done it many times. I didn't do every year they had it. I did several times though, and always enjoyed going down there. I like the area a lot. So, but we wanted to give our condolences to John. Also to her best friend, Brittany. Brittany is, and her were basically attached at the hip. I can, if I didn't, always together when of course, at the PopCon, and there was many times they were together at shows because Brittany would come with them, but they were geocache fans. So her and Brittany were always hitting like the geocaches, doing concerts. They were actually, I found they had been up here, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd known. I could have met you guys somewhere for dinner. And they came and saw Hailstorm, which is like one of their favorite bands. And,
I love Hailstorm.
And so
they're my on the road album. Every time I hit the road, that's my first hour of the road trip. Hailstorm.
Awesome. So, but for those of us that watch our show and everything else, and you, if you knew Julie and didn't hear about this, I'm sorry. Sorry, but definitely, if you want to send something, I know they put on here for support to your local animal shelter and memorial offerings, and it's Julie Hart Hayes. That would be the name.
Yeah. It's a reminder. Once again, unfortunately, it's a reminder. We're no longer young chickens, and we're at the age where, unfortunately, we get reminders like this. Life is not guaranteed, and we need to really cherish the people in our lives while we have them, because there is no guarantee. Just in the last couple of years, like Gary Reed, we saw him at Monroe, and a day or two later, boom, he was gone. Dave Music, overnight, boom, gone. JoJo, it just, we have a number of friends, and Tommy too, going back a couple of years, he had health issues, but still nothing guaranteed. So, as we mature and get later in life, unfortunately, this is the lesson you learn more and more as your friends and peers and family members unfortunately pass. And so cherish everyone while you can, because the only time we're granted is right now in the moment.
Yeah. And again, just our condolences out to John and his family and all the friends down there. And I hope I get a chance to see y'all sooner than later, as always.
Definitely.
And I look forward to someday we'll hopefully see Julie on the other side.
That's right.
So we got started to start off with the show that way this week, but you got to pay tribute to those and that. But let's get started. So Scott, if you want to kick us off with Team Titans of Real Estate.
All right. Well, Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though the technology, tools, social media, everything's in constant evolution and growing, and things come and go as far as the current trends. One thing that always stays the same, though, is real estate is a people business, and that's what we're here for. We're here for you. We care about you. We custom tailor our approaches to your goals and needs. It's not a one size fits all approach for everyone. And I've been talking for the last few weeks about the upcoming shift. I've been warning, we've been on this high for sellers where no matter what you listed, it was going to be sold in 2 days. You were going to have 40 offers. You're going to have $30,000 above asking price, $30,000 in appraisal guarantees. That is changing. And I've been warning it's coming. And people who wanted to make their house perfect and wait another month or two to fix everything up, I warned you might lose your money if you do that. Well, it's coming. We've been watching the trends in our searches. A couple months ago, for our buyers, it'd be normal to only have 2, maybe 3 new listings hit the market during that week. Last week, we had 20 houses come up for one of our searches over the course of the week. And we're like, wow, things are really starting to pick up. Well, now that same search, 15 brand new listings came up in the last 24 hours. Oh, wow. So we are definitely seeing this massive trend. In our office last week, we had 3 times the number of listings than normal for what was normal in recent times. So we are seeing a massive surge occurring. There's many factors involved with that. Some of it, school is now out. Mm-hmm. Some of it is people are getting clarification on their jobs. One customer we have, they were notified that they are going to remain working at home. Well, they no longer had to live in that. If she's working from home, it's okay that if they moved about 40 minutes out closer to the water where they wanted to be, They no longer had to worry about their commute to work. So people are getting more clarifications into what their job functions will be, whether they have to live close to their office or if they can move farther away. Schools getting out. All these different factors are coming into play. People are just coming out into the world now, getting out of their houses from COVID as restrictions are lifted. So a lot of factors are going in. Also, just people are seeing how high houses are selling. It's like, well, geez, if I can get that much, I might as well sell. So all these things are coming in together, and we are seeing a real surge in listings. Now, the real question is this just a temporary surge, or is this a new trend and it's going to sustain? That's what we have to wait and see. But as of right now, we can tell you the number of showings we're having on some listings have definitely dropped. Why? Because those buyers now have options. You know, from before you were the only house on the market. Now they have 15 houses to choose from. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening out there. So, and without those bidding war, if those bidding wars do stop, that's easily 20, 30 grand less you'll make on the sale of your house. So it's still happening, but be wary. You need to choose a realtor who is studying the trends, knows the current conditions, and how you price your house will be critical to the success of your sale. Because if you price it based on what things were happening even just 3 weeks ago, you're going to really hurt yourself. So you got to price it based on what the market's currently doing. So give us a call. My name is Scott Zambelli. My number is 586-549-6096, or my better half, Jill Webler, 586-277-2145.
Now, just so everybody knows, she is sitting there and she threatens to beat him if he doesn't say that.
No,
I'm kidding.
No,
Jill's great. Jill's great. Whether she beats him or not, I don't know, but Scott probably likes it.
Well, I deserve it.
Yes.
I earn my beatings.
Yes. And our other great sponsor is Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC, located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan. And they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full body vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. You can give them a call, 796-974-4244. Visit online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. We have a link for you, of course, at oddmusings.com. And this, of course, is their Facebook page at Loringer Family Chiro. You can definitely go follow them there, like them there. They like to post some encouraging messages, things like that. And you can definitely find out more about them through there as well. So definitely check them out all the way around. I have a friend that went to them. We've been encouraging her for a little while, and so she's now getting some treatment and found out some things could be adjusted to help, and some things that are beyond repair per se is the best way to put it, but they can still work with her and help controlling pain issues and things like that. So the reason we endorse them, besides them sponsoring us, is the fact that I'm a patient and they don't make promises on things they can't do. Not saying other chiropractors do that, but you can't trust really anybody if they're going to make promises that you'll be 100% better no matter what you do, because even doctors can not claim that. So, medical doctors, of course, chiropractic doctors are doctors too. So check out Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC. All
right. So it's been a busy week here. Brett and I, we have our side things, but it's also been busy on the Bardstone front. Just want to give a quick update. Ready Comics is in the process of printing out the huge order I placed with them for the Crimson Shadows 2 Kickstarter campaign. They expect to ship either Friday or Monday. It's being sent by freight, so it takes about a week to get here. Freight's the best option when you have this large of an order. Once I get those in, all my sketch rewards are all done. So everything's ready now. So once I receive that shipment in, I'm just going to do one last quality control check on everything, which I expect to be fine. And then I'm going to be packaging up things. So probably in 2 weeks, I'll start shipping if everything goes to plan. So If you backed us, thank you. And know your rewards are coming. And as far as the digital side for the digital comic, I'm in the process of putting together the thank you page for all the backers. So that's going to be, that's about to be finished too. So I'm so close to being 100% done with Crimson Shadows 2.
Yeah, it's definitely, like we've talked about this before with Kickstarters. It's a lot more work after the Kickstarter just getting everything ready than it is during the Kickstarter. So
it's far easier making a book.
Yep.
So, and for those of you out there who are thinking about doing Kickstarters, it is work. This is not a fun hobby as far as, I love drawing. I love creating. Brett does too. Kevin does too. But it's work. This is a passion thing. And I think a lot of people underestimate, even creating a book. There's one particular Kickstarter, certain artist I will leave unnamed. He was lamenting online about how he has to get out of art because nobody's buying his stuff. I did a rude comment. I've been waiting on his, because I backed his book back in 2012. So I'm like, dude, you can't sell art if you never produce it. It's like, well, I'm busy. It's been 9 years. Come on.
Yeah, you're busy, yet you want people to buy your stuff, but you don't have any stuff.
Right.
And you got to get stuff out. We've talked about this during a lot of this stuff we've done. Scott's gotten into, I know we've gotten tons of people over the years come to us at shows and they go, I want to do what you're doing. I want to have published books. I want to do artwork. What do I got to do? Who do I have to talk to get hired? You don't talk to anybody. You just do it. And realistically, you're not going to get hired by any of the big companies. The days of them finding a John Byrne or anybody, name anybody, McFarlane or whatever, just because they happen to be out there and about and they've got a portfolio is long gone. You got to self-publish. You got to get word out there. That's really the way to go. You can send all your stuff you want or try to do all the tryouts for DC, Marvel, whenever they have them. Most of the time they're just doing that just to placate the fans. They already know who they're going to hire.
Yeah, but with social media and everything, they find they will walk shows still. It does happen. But now with social media, they're able to find who they want. They can see what followers you have. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, to keep in mind, walk the shows. If you're not set up at a show with work you've done, they're not going to see you.
Right.
You need to have a presence online. If you don't want to actually publish at printed books, do a digital webcomic. There's a million ways to do them, and it doesn't cost you anything but just uploading your files. So there's ways of getting them out there and getting the work out to people.
What were Cyanide and Happiness? They were like a little weekly type strip they did. They exploded. There's tons of ways to get yourself out there.
Yep.
But one way that isn't a way is to do nothing. That just it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
you can wish and say, I really want to make comics and that. And I've had people literally come up to me and they show me some samples. They go, okay, so who's hiring? Are you hiring? I'm looking for people to hire me. It's like, nobody's going to hire you. You might be able to post. Now there's websites you can post examples on, and there are people looking, and I see this all the time in a couple of different groups, Facebook, but you're not going to get someone that's going to go, okay, here you go. And you're gonna make tons of money. You're going to make squat. You're going to make a lot less than you think you're going to make. And if you've not done anything and you have no resume, you got to take what you can get if that's the work you want. If you can't come up with something on your own, then you need to take minimal pay for doing the best work you can to get noticed and to hopefully eventually get something else down the road. But again, that's a long haul to go. And almost everybody I know that is successful in the last 15 years of me doing comics, almost every single one that that came into success during the time had done self-publishing of some type.
Yeah, you got to do that. But and also, and not to turn this into a big preach event, but since we're on the topic, you have to you really need to not use Kickstarter as a get rich quick scheme. It's not your retirement plan.
Yep.
You're taking other people's money to fund your own dream is what you're doing, and they're trusting you to finish that. So don't do a Kickstarter when all you have is a couple sketches on a piece of paper. Wait till you're 80-90% done so that you can actually, you're going to be able to fulfill what you're promising, because people will put their trust in you. You burn them, and then that reflects on the rest of the Kickstarter community, because then people are like, oh, I've backed some of those before, and it just doesn't, nobody did anything. So wait till you can actually finish what you're starting.
Yeah, there's a lot I've seen out there that when you look at it, it's like, okay, they have a couple rough stop things like that, and they talk about it and they go, as soon as I get funded, then I can pay somebody to do all this other work. It's like, sometimes you got to invest the money yourself and go from there, or do it yourself, and then move along. I mean, that's what we had to do here. I mean, Scott put his own money into Crimson Shadows 1 to hire a penciler. He paid, well, Kevin and I did it for back end work, but it's because we're all friends and working on this together. But he paid other people for different things along the way. He's paid for covers. He's paid for coloring, Shara Lima, things like that. So you have to invest your own money at times before you get that. And the Kickstarter is not going to make you rich. Now, we know some people that do very successful with Kickstarters, but if you went back and looked, they were already either an established name, so they brought in a fan base, which helps, or they built it up to where they've got a good following to where they're getting more than enough money to cover everything. And their primary thing now is producing and getting stuff out there. But those are still very few people that are able to do that. So,
right.
And, yeah. Like our friends at Stranger Comics, I just got the new Kickstarter I backed, Ruining Christmas. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I just threw. And to be honest with you, I didn't realize it was Stranger Comics, which we know Sebastian and all that. So
this was a nice little detour from their usual.
They were having fun, cartoony, comic. I saw it popped up as a recommendation. I just backed it blindly, to be honest with you, because it just looked fun, and it wasn't it had a nice little package. I forget what I put into it. It wasn't a whole lot of money, and I got some nice rewards out of it. And I get it the other day, and I was like, I didn't even realize it was Stranger Comics. I just thought it looked cool.
Right.
So you never know. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on Kickstarter, but Kickstarter should be treated as what it is, a marketing tool to get your work out there. And who knows where you can go from there down the road. So
right. Definitely.
Yep.
Anyways, enough of our preaching about Kickstarter. I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole.
It's all right. We're talking publishing. We talk comics.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we do. That's part of our music. So
it's what we do, man.
It's what we do, man. Come on, dude.
So there was some fun stuff here. You want to jump into Loki here?
Yeah. Let me pop this up here.
We'll start off by saying this. So Loki streams on Wednesday. So we're not going to get into spoilers for today's episode, but we will give a full spoiler review of last week's episode, episode 1. And I think what I'll do, the way I'll approach this, at least on my end, is I will only discuss the theories I had last week before episode 2 came out.
Yes.
Whether or not those theories were right and wrong, you'll know if you watched it this morning. The only thing I'll say about this morning's episode, I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's all I'll say. But how about you, Brett?
Yeah, I watched this morning's episode already, and it was really good. But definitely don't want to get too much into that. But episode 1 definitely is a cool little start to this. We get to see where it takes place from, and it's immediately right after Loki jumps when in Endgame. When he's picked up the Tesseract and he's gone. So the Cosmic Cube, and it's a continuation right from there. So we don't know where it's going to end up, of course, but we find out that they're with the Time Variant Authority, and it was a group. And I like that they have this very cheesy 70s animation looking video to explain how they were created and what they're for. There's basically is the ultimate timeline. It's just one timeline that they're trying to control. And when things happen that shouldn't happen, they go in to fix it so there's not a variant and a split off and a break off of that. I believe that has to do with them trying to reduce the multiple world theories.
Right. So going back to last week when we talked, once again, I'm not referencing this week's episode. I'm purely discussing what we talked about last week, whether it was on Odd Musings or Brett and I off screen. I can't remember which I said on air and off air, but so according to the new animated character, her name is Miss Minutes. She's the little animated clock that talks and explains everything. It's actually voiced by Tara Strong, well-known voice actress. And it's becoming a popular character in its own right. They even gave Miss Minutes a character poster, I guess, for her. But so the way they explained it in episode 1 is there used to be a multiverse. There was this massive multiverse war where all the timelines fought for supremacy on who would be the true timeline. The Time Lords came and merged all the timelines into one and created what they call the sacred timeline. So based on that, there is no longer a multiverse. Now, the theory that I had was, well, we do find out who they're hunting too. We can reveal that now. They reveal the variant that they're hunting is Loki, which is why they need Loki's help.
And the Loki we see that they're chasing, because you do catch a glimpse, is a hooded figure, so we don't see what this Loki looks like.
Right.
So now my same one or a different one.
So my theory last week was when you looked at the arrest record, well, I won't get into that part because I don't want to maybe reveal something by accident here. Anyways, what I'll get into is this. And I think Brett shared the theory that the time variant Loki they are chasing is a multiverse version of Loki that somehow survived the Time Wars from way back when. So this is our theory last week. I'm not getting into whether it's right or wrong. So there's an alternate version of Loki is what our theory is. And that somehow this alternate version of Loki or the current Loki, one of the Lokis, is going to be responsible for recreating the multiverse, because we do know moving forward, we got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. They even use that line in that TVA video with Miss Minutes. She says something about, or no, I think it's Owen Wilson says something like having a multiverse would explode into madness or something. They said a line like that. And we know the Multiverse of Madness is coming on Doctor Strange. Yeah. We also know with the upcoming Spider-Man movie, they're casting the villains from various Spider-Man franchises as well as actors. So they're bringing in, we know the multiverse is coming. We just don't know how it's coming.
Yeah.
So our theory is somehow, these Lokis are responsible.
And dealing with that, I've pulled up BuzzFeed so I could really pinpoint all the different Easter eggs that are out there, because a lot of stuff really pop up that are go quickly. Yes. In the video for the time variant, when he's watching this thing, it talks about that if you step off your destined time path, it creates a Nexus event. And I forgot about this. They in WandaVision, one of the commercials was for Nexus, a unique antidepressant that works to anchor you back to your reality or the reality of your choice. So they're already referencing back into WandaVision with this.
Nice. Now, there's another thing I want to point out. A character I've seen people say would be perfect for this series is Kang the Conqueror, because he deals with time travel in the Marvel Comics. I'm going to add this up here. This is Kang here that you see on the screen. Now, what I'm reading is Ant-Man and Wasp movie is called Quantum Mania, and the theory is that there's going to be Kang involved in Loki. Now, this is theory and rumor. This is not confirmation. But they're thinking they're going to introduce Kang into the series, and he'll go on into the Ant-Man and Wasp movie. So that's all theory right now, or unsubstantiated rumors or whatever. But Kang is an old time villain there in the old comic series. So it'd be nice to see if he comes in. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, there's definitely, they're opening up a lot of characters, and smaller villains, bigger villains that we've not seen, things like that. So
I'm loving the chemistry between all of them. This does not feel like an episode one. Usually the first episodes of a new series, it's kind of like the chemistry isn't there. It's more robotic. The people they don't know their role in that character yet. But, Tom Hiddleston's been playing Loki for 12 years now. I mean, he is Loki, let's face it. And he's so perfect in this series as Loki. I just love Loki. Remember the old commercials of Loki sitting there with all the kids? And he's asking the kids their opinion. He's like, what's your favorite superhero? They're like, Thor. And he's like, like it has that feel. Yeah. Even like when they did those Thor little shorts of Thor getting a roommate. It's so fun to watch these Marvel characters interact with normal humans, and that you're getting this on a regular basis in this series.
Yeah.
Did you see the Stan Lee cameo?
No.
So in one of the scenes in episode 1, I believe it was.
Oh wait, I did. There was, you see an image on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, in the painting, they have Stan Lee in the painting on the wall. So it makes me wonder: did they do little Stan Lee cameos in the previous 2 series that I just didn't know?
Yeah, that's
because it was cool that they had Stan Lee somehow in here. kind of like how they did it in Big Hero 6.
Yes.
He was in a painting. Turned out he was the dad in there. Spoiler alert if you didn't see Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm not seeing. I just Googled it real quick. WandaVision 8 has a tribute to Stan Lee on a journey through the past, but I don't think they did an actual image of him. So.
Okay.
But yeah, so now there was something you mentioned to me last week if I noticed the file for Loki, and it's mentioned here in this thing here, and it mentions his sex as fluid, and then the person BuzzFeed did this up said in the comics, and I remember this from the comics, so I did mention Odin refers to Loki as both his son and daughter too.
Right.
So, and I think that has to come with whatever race he really is.
Well, and it also comes back to my belief. My understanding is in Old Norse. He's a Norse god, right?
Norse god, yeah.
I believe in Old Norse mythology, Loki appears as male or female also.
Yes.
So I believe that's true. So they do reference that in the arrest record.
Right. And then also looking at the same file thing, it mentions that his sector is 1900 to 2099, and Marvel did do a bunch of comics years ago, Marvel 2099. And so this could mean that Loki is in multiple eras within the Marvel universe too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so they're doing a great job. The look and feel of this entire series is perfect. Mm-hmm. Owen Wilson is perfect.
Yep.
In his role. So
now you mentioned King the Conqueror.
Yes.
I'm going to get the name butchered here, but I'm going to try my best. Gugu Mbatha-Raw character is Judge Renslayer. In the comics, Ravonna Renslayer falls in love with King the Conqueror, who is linked to the Timekeepers.
Oh, interesting.
And then small notes, it says Kang will be introduced in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and will be played by Jonathan Majors. So he's already been cast.
Oh, so that is confirmed.
That's what it says here. So how true that is, I'm going to take it on its word as that it is. So there's different references to some other movies, things like that. I guess so too. Here's when Loki looks out at the TVA, that's the city. You can spot T-282 on a building. It's in Marvel Comics. This is a nod to Thor issue number 282, which features the first appearance of the Timekeepers. So there's some references there. And then Mobius, I love how
Marvel goes so deep into all of these little things.
Yeah. And then Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, he uses Hollow Projector 35 to show Loki his greatest hits. The number could reference the Marvel comic Journey into Mystery, issue number 35, which follows a man who's transported through time. The comic series eventually the groundwork for the Mighty Thor comics.
How do people even how do you see this on the screen? And you're like, hey, that's Journey into Mystery.
I leave this all up to other people so I can go back and refer to this later. Because it's so and then Mobius is drinking lots of Josta while talking to Loki, and Josta was the first energy drink marketed in the US during the 90s. And it's funny because their office looks like it's straight out of 1975.
Yes.
Very, very that 70s feel, that wanting to be futuristic, but just looking like bad technology. So
the other cool thing in episode 1 of Loki, Loki finds a drawer full of Infinity Stones. Magic doesn't work in this realm. And so Infinity Stones are useless. And of course, with time variance, so many people are after these. I'm sure there's been thousands of times in history they've had to correct history to make sure the right events happen. And it does. And they're like, yeah, we use them as paperweights. And that's where Loki really realizes, oh my God, the most powerful stones in the universe they're just paperweights here.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like his wow, I do feel they're touching on a really cool concept that I hope they continue searching too. It's and we deal with it, if you're a believer in God and Jesus and Christianity or other faiths, maybe even. I can only speak as a Christian because I'm a Christian. The concept of free will versus destiny, and what is preordained versus what have you chosen. And it's a neat concept they're exploring here. Loki's I'm my own person. I made these choices. And they're like, yeah, okay, not really, but we'll go with that. And it does bring up a neat dynamic, because, if I jump into the future, let's say Brett's going to make a choice tomorrow out of free will, but I jump a week into the future. I now know what his choice is. So just because I know what his choice is, because I've seen the future, doesn't mean it wasn't done out of free will. I just know the path he has chosen already before he has. So there's this neat dynamic that's created with these beings that live outside of the timeline that can see all choices and all results. And versus, are you really choosing it or are you being forced to? So it's a neat, I really like that dynamic they're exploring a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I also liked one thing. My favorite part of the episode, though, was we find out that Loki was actually D.B. Cooper.
Oh, yes.
He hijacked a plane in 1971. And my favorite part of the whole thing is, they run through the how it works and stuff like that. And it's hilarious. You get them all dressed up and everything. And then he's like, what did you do? Basically, what did you do? He goes, well, I was young and I lost a bet to Thor. And
it was a bet. The whole thing was a bet.
Yeah. He jumps out of the plane and then he gets sucked in, back to the Rainbow Bridge. And you see the money going all over the place. And that explains why they found money all over the place.
Right.
And but it's just a cool little thing to say. This was, Loki playing jokes the whole time.
Yeah. So, but just to point out, though, based on the historical facts, everything about that fits into the historical record. So you never know.
Yeah, and that wasn't a time variance. It was just a thing that happened. So.
But even Loki said, so the time that he said, oh, so that had the Time Lords of seal of approval, but this doesn't.
Yeah.
And Owen Wilson even said, well, it's not really, we don't get into right or wrong or approval and disapproval. And then he stopped and he said, well, that's another topic. So I did like also where when Loki's like, I'm going to burn this place to the ground and all this. And then he says something like, this is a nightmare. And Owen Wilson goes, well, no, that's a different department, but I will help you burn that one down. So there is a nightmare department.
Yeah.
So what character exists in nightmares? In
well,
Marvel
there is
Universe?
A character called Nightmare.
Yeah. So I wonder if
that's another thing on the gum that's referenced in this when he's given a pack of gum. The image of that they're speculating looks like Nightmare. So that is
okay.
I think a reference to that. As well as
well, didn't we think Nightmare was involved in WandaVision?
And I guess that's a possibility whether we will see the character Nightmare here or if this is an underlying character that when they finally reveal, you'll see that it was definitely playing a part through the whole thing. Just like Agnes in WandaVision.
Right. So this could be all subtle. This is where Marvel gets it so good. Mm-hmm. They don't feel rushed. They're fine with just giving you little taste, little flavors here and there and allow it. Then when down the road, they don't care. They're fine with having a storyline run for 3 years with a subtle thing and then have a reveal. That's what's so great about it. And because their actors stay true to them and they play these characters for life, it seems.
Yeah.
They can have the time. It's not like, hey, we only have three movies deal with this guy, and so we have to reveal everything in one movie. Right. No, they take their time, and this could all be like these subtle hints keep popping up in other series. I find it hard to believe they keep doing these hints with no plan.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing. It's like, again, looking at the reference on BuzzFeed here is when he watches the film basically of his life, at the end, when it goes to the white tape, which is basically a labeling tape they use in the films, it has a ETH 616, which they're assuming is a reference to 616, which is the main Earth in the Marvel comics, which is the Earth they deal with in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well.
Yeah.
And that, so.
We also have Loki. This will be my last point on Loki. He's always talking about his glory. He's burdened with glorious purpose. And his whole illusion of how great he was is shattered when he does see the end of the film, the events that we know of how he dies at the hand of Thanos. So he comes to realize his whole life is really just going to be a nothing. And everything he's fought for his whole life is going to never amount to anything. Also, it was revealed what was his glorious purpose. His glorious purpose that he didn't even realize was just to be a constant irritant in people's lives to motivate them to become their greatest selves. And then it shows the Avengers. So his whole purpose in life was to cause superheroes to become super. Yeah. And which is the exact opposite of what he ever wanted.
A couple last things for me here is when we see the variant that we don't of Loki that we don't know yet, go to Salina, Oklahoma. In the comics, Oklahoma was a big role in Thor's story. It was actually where New Asgard located after Ragnarok.
Is that where the hammer landed?
No, that was you're talking about thinking of the movie. This is after Ragnarok in the comics. After Asgard was destroyed, they relocated to Salina or to Oklahoma. So I think that's a reference there. But then also the weapon that the Minutemen find that's in the field.
Oh yeah,
and it's from the early 3rd millennium. In the comics, King the Conqueror is from that era, and then the time signature they have, it says is early 3rd millennium. So again, they are referencing King again. So a lot of this is setting that up too. And then finally, and they said that the person said this isn't really detailed, but should start talking about who they think the variant Loki is. Like, could it be a lady Loki, and will it be able to handle that? That's with the gender fluid thing. We could see a female Loki, or we could see a male Loki, or if there go multiple timelines, we don't know what version of Loki we're going to see, because in the comics there has been different versions that popped up over the thing too. So that's the end of the Easter eggs I have on that I want to share off of this one here. And but definitely a lot of cool things. And the other thing they did point out, there was and I remember seeing that in the episode we didn't talk about, is when he comes in through the main office, there was a Skrull in there too. So Skrulls are becoming more prevalent. And then even in one of the battles that they talk about with variants in the in the cartoon, it was the Kree Skrull war, or Kree Skrull battle, stuff like that. That was referenced even in the movies here. So, and
we know they're leading up to a Secret Wars at some point. Yep. Where they became so even when you find somebody in the Marvel universe now, we don't know if it's really that character or if it's a Skrull.
Yeah, and that was a thing for the comics for several years, starting in the mid 2000s. It was like, well, here's all these Skrulls, and by the way, when you go back, we're saying all these ones are Skrulls. That's their way of redoing the timeline of a character and changing things. So right, it's kind of cool. I'm excited about that. We'll talk more on episode 2 next week. And the series is getting really good, so
definitely
check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. So
yeah, definitely see episode 2. We'll talk about episode 2 next week.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then we watched Bad Batch had a new episode.
Bad Batch.
So, and this was just kind of moving along. It's definitely I'm still enjoying it. So.
Yeah, Bad Batch is going well. It's what I expect so far. Thoroughly enjoying it. At the end of the day, it is a cartoon, but it's a lot of fun. And my theory last week, I think I said about the chip in the head of Wrecker, they ended up doing this week. The part I didn't get was I thought he was going to his affection for Omega was going to be enough to switch him and cause him not to go on. But we had a pleasant cameo from Rex in this episode, who played a key part in stopping Wrecker. But
and because this is not too long, and because this isn't too long after the end of the Clone Wars cartoon, he's still the same Rex we recognize, and not the older Rex yet that we see later on.
No beard yet, so he has not achieved his ultimate form yet.
Right.
But so maybe we will see the birth of the beard for Rex. Maybe it's the beard origin story in this series. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and we're still about 15 years until that part of Rex shows up, which really shows that Bad Batch has a lot of time they can still cover, depending on how long this series runs, without actually bumping into Rebels.
Now, for the Black Series 6-inch figures, I did notice at Target a Bad Batch box. So those characters are starting to arrive in Target. So I'm starting to look for those.
I've seen. I saw. Who is not Echo, but who's the tech?
Yeah, I don't know their names, but Wrecker and Hunter are the only Crosshairs. Wrecker, Hunter, Crosshairs. Then you got Fives. Yeah. No, Echo. Yeah, Echo. Yeah, Fives. And then, so there's 4 of them.
And it's Tech. It's something like that. So
is it just Tech? Okay,
or something like that. So I don't.
But
and they say their names. So you hear Wrecker all the time because of Omega.
It's always Wrecker.
and then Hunter. Wrecker and Hunter.
Wrecker.
So, but it's so it's the figures are showing up. They look really cool. I probably won't be picking them up just because I'm suffering for everything. So
I saw a fan theory pop up. I don't agree with this theory, but it was an interesting one. Yeah. So you see how Omega looks. She has the short blonde hair. One of the fan theories starting to pop up is that Brienne of Tarth, who plays Captain Phasma in the new series. She has short blonde hair and she's a warrior. The theory was Omega grows up to be her. I don't think so, because I think personally they would keep her as Moari, like Tamara Morrison is. They would just need a female version of him. So I don't think they would have her become that character, but you never know.
Yeah. Well, and again, with the changes they did in code to create her, even though it was from the other batch, we don't know the end result of what they've changed that will cause.
Right.
If they went that route, though, we're looking at. Well, I think she'd be too old. I think she'd be like in her 50s, almost 60, to be.
Or maybe they did the reverse. They had her age half as fast instead of twice as fast.
Possibly, I doubt.
Who knows?
Because in this, she's probably what, 10?
About 10. About how old we saw Daniel Logan in the first in episode 2.
Right.
So, I think they're going to lead towards a Lady Fett. I think they're going to have her evolve to become like a Lady Fett.
That's possible.
Because that's been a popular fan-led thing for a long time. So who knows? Because in the expanded universe, Boba Fett had a daughter. And I forget her name in the expanded universe, but I could see them having this character become the expanded universe version of Boba Fett's daughter.
That's possible. You know, it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do with that. So it's, I think there's a lot of directions they can go with it. I don't know if they will go that way, but
speaking of Daniel Logan, I was reading also with them wrapping up the book of Boba Fett, there's going to be flashback scenes. I'm hoping Daniel Logan will be involved as young Boba Fett in these flashback scenes. So we'll see.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Because they just wrapped up production on that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be ready to launch in towards the end of the year this year. So, but
I'm still enjoying it, and it's everything I want it to be. You know, it's fun.
I'm taking this first season as they have a lot of setup they have to do to get to where they really want to make this series run. Similar to Rebels. Rebels had a lot of setup that first season.
Yes.
And then really took off for the next 3 seasons. So we've got a lot that can happen there. So
yeah, season 2 was by far the best for Rebels. I think that when they brought Ahsoka, actually all of the series, they keep bringing Ahsoka in, then it gets really good. Mandalorian brought Ahsoka in.
You got really
season 2. Everything. See, Ahsoka always shows up season 2. So I think that's who they're talking to. I think she's going to be back season 2 of Bad Batch.
Yeah, but it'll all be interesting to see because with Fennec Shan hunting the Bad Batch, trying to with the bounty out for Omega, and with them trying to get them, it's going to be an interesting thing to see where all this does really go. Because they're starting to hint at more and more stuff. We've had the connection with Saw, we've now got a connection with Rex, Fennec Shan. So they're really connecting all these little dots we've seen through Rebels, Rogue One, Mandalorian, things like that. So the direction is going to be interesting to see where she goes, where Omega ends up at, how we
and will they bring what's his name back? We saw in the opening episode the origin story of I'm blanking from Rebels.
Saw Gerrera.
Kanan.
Oh, Kanan, yes.
We saw him as a Padawan.
As his Padawan, yeah. And that's something that we could eventually see is a little more crossover with that. And that could be, that's all we ever see, because that could be, we gave you the origin. Now, he ends up in Rebels. That's 15 years later.
Right.
So explains the age and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking we could run across something like that again, but they keep planet hopping a lot right now.
Yeah.
So
they're really establishing Omega. They're setting her up, and as a character, she's okay. But I think just as in Rebels, I felt what's his name was annoying, the Padawan, but then Ezra. I didn't care for him in season 1, but he grew and he got better in season 2, 3, and 4. Same with Ahsoka. A lot of people found her annoying in the first season, but then you grew to know her and love her. So I have a feeling they're doing a similar thing with Omega here. And she'll probably be one of the favorite characters in 2 to 3 years. Yeah,
I think as long as they continue on this path they're going, I think we're going to definitely see good growth on that in this character. I think there's something more important with this character than they've let on that'll lead to explanation and stuff. And I don't know if they're trying to clarify stuff even in the latest movies, and this is something that'll help with that, or if this is something they're setting up for if they decide to do what we speculated as, them basically rewriting history within Star Wars and almost negating the last 3 movies and going to a different direction. So, my fans love me.
Look at that. Oh, it went off. There you go.
Stacy. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? It's good to see her pop on. I haven't seen Stacy in, I think I saw her last week or so. I ran into her. She's one of my buddies. Nice. And I ran into her at Meyer and that. So it's nice to see it popping on. So she's probably on break right now. So I believe she's working. So
welcome aboard.
Hopefully I'll see you on Friday. So I'll be looking for you.
Nice. So, all right. So I think we covered Bad Batch.
Yeah. I mean, there's nice about Bad Batch. There's not a whole lot to cover. They have lately it's the, each episode is the mission of the episode and then going about stuff. But I think they all have a bigger meaning within these episodes than what they're letting on, just like we talked about within Marvel. So,
yeah. And if you guys want to check it out, I don't think you really have to watch the episodes in order. They're very standalone, I think, right now. I mean, they do connect to a larger story, but if you just were to jump into an episode, I don't think you'll feel lost or like, oh, what's going on? So yeah. I think you could pop in whenever.
But I say start at the beginning. Watch the movie. It was good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Nice. So there was another thing we watched. You saw Sweet Tooth.
Yes, I watched the whole series.
So
I didn't plan on it, but it was so good. I went right through it.
It's an interesting series, and I really liked it. So you were saying this is actually a DC comic.
Yeah, DC Vertigo. Which Vertigo line is not around anymore. So, but yeah, it's they're out there. I'll have to go back and read those. Hey, Kevin. So, but yeah, I love this. I have not read the comics. I now want to read the comics. I have to go back and start picking up trades. And but I really liked the way this series was done. It's different. It's different all the way around. It's dealing with, of course, an apocalypse that it sets off a lot of stuff, but just the whole things they're introducing. I mean, the character there, Sweet Tooth, he's got like 3 different names. He's called Sweet Tooth Kid, and then his real name, and
Gus.
That's how he's referenced to the whole thing. It's Gus, yep. And he is what's called a hybrid. And around the time of basically like a plague happening, it was hybrids started being born, and they are a mix of animal and human. And they don't know why. They've not fully explained why, at least yet in the series. But of course, humans are hunting them down and trying to lock them up, get rid of them. And many of them aren't as smart as Gus, we find out early on, because, of course, they're not being taught normal, where he was actually taken by his dad out in the woods and all this happened. And we learned at the beginning, and there's more that gets revealed about that whole thing later on. But I don't want to get too much into that because that's a really good point.
Yeah, a lot of people probably haven't seen this yet, so we're not going to get into spoilers. Yeah. Seems like in this world, humans are kind of divided into 2 camps. There's the people who believe the hybrids caused the apocalypse, and then there's those who believe the hybrids are the saviors of the apocalypse. And depending on what side of the issue you're on will depend how you react to these hybrids. And it's an interesting world they've created in this. I really enjoyed it. I definitely feel it's worth watching. And I think for the most part, they do a good job. My only annoying part, I'm so tired of this. Oh my God. Okay. So one of the girls, like a 14-year-old girl, I'm sorry, just they're playing video games. And somehow from playing these video games, she's trained enough to fight fully trained, full-grown men soldiers. I'm sorry, but a 14-year-old girl will get her butt kicked. You can't be a 90-pound girl and take on a 250-pound man and win. It just doesn't happen. But, we live in this age where now, no matter, you could be an 80-pound woman and you can beat up every guy in the universe. So that's the only part that bugged. Come on, she's like 14. Stop. Taking on fully trained soldiers. But, okay, but spoiler alert. Okay. Why can't I don't know. Anyways. Yeah. It just doesn't work in physics. If you're like in wrestling, when I did wrestling, the weight classes are in 5-pound increments because just simply 5 pounds of weight difference can make all the difference in who wins. So you have 5-pound weight increments. So don't tell me a 200-pound difference doesn't make a difference.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's just my side, annoyance thing that we have to put up with every movie now. And of course, well, the adults are the bad guys. They caused all the problems, and kids know everything.
Yeah, it's kind of how it goes. A lot of this stuff anymore. So,
but aside from that, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy this. I do look forward to season 2. I'm curious to see what direction it goes.
Yeah.
The kid who played Gus did a great job.
Yeah. No, he's really good. I hadn't really seen him in anything. I don't think he's really done anything much at all.
He had a number of credits when I looked him up.
So let me see.
I forget his name. It's like Christian
Convery, yeah. And he's definitely not. He's what, 11 or 12, or he's 12 this year, so he's 11. So probably 10, 11 filming this. He was in like Playing with Fire. He's in. He's got a couple more movies coming out after this. Pup Academies and the Descendants 3 movie. He's got a fair amount of stuff in there. He's in Legion. That's when he was younger.
Yeah.
So he's got a whole mix of stuff in there. So he was in an episode of Supernatural when he was younger.
I mean, he's only 11 and he has a far greater acting resume than I do.
Yeah.
So.
But just in the last few years, he's done a few different things. So a bunch of TV movies, some shorts. But by far, I think this is his biggest break of a production in that. Because he was even in Venom, he played Joey, an 8-year-old boy. But of course, having credits on these credits are like he was there for a minute or two and stuff like that. But no, he was good. He was fantastic in this, and I definitely was very impressed with him.
Yeah, and I felt sometimes with kid actors, they kind of, it's the rest of the cast kind of carries them through, but I felt like he did a really good job acting with range, and the emotional scenes I thought he did very well. And then he did a great job of being a kid. Also, just small nuances. He's also part deer, so I noticed if he got scared, he would like he had like these little animal little things he would do to incorporate into the character, but he didn't do it in a way that I felt was forced. I felt like it fit the character. So the kid did a great job.
Yeah, and then I like his ends up being his savior, playing Tommy, Nanzo Anozi. He's really good.
Yes, he's been in a lot of things.
Yeah, he's been on for a long time. You'll recognize him. He was in the Conan movie 10 years ago.
Yep.
He played the captain in Cinderella. These are a couple of quick ones that popped up. But he's got a huge list of stuff. He's on that show Zoo for a couple years. He was in the Dracula TV series from 2013 to 14, played Renfield. So that was a different one than the one that was the movie ones that were on the other year on Netflix. But he's in like Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. So he's got a good resume. He's in Game of Thrones. He played with Zero Sean Dasho.
Yep.
So
he was fun in there. He played in a football? Was he in The Blind Spot?
No, but he looks like that actor. I thought it was him at first when he popped up. I was like, is that him from The Blind Spot? He's like, no, it's not. They have a very similar look. He's actually British. This actress, and the other one is not. So, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. But he's been around for quite a bit and different things.
What's interesting in the comic book, Jeopard is a hockey player from Minnesota.
Okay.
Let's see here. I mean, oh, bless you. Bless you, my child. Bless you. Bless you.
All right.
That was too many sneezes. I take one blessing back.
All right.
But you had a saying, didn't you? If someone sneezed too many, wasn't there something?
It's like, oh, they're a demon. Got to kill them.
That's
yeah. So I always sneeze in threes.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I have a friend. If I sneeze and I wait for the third one, it doesn't come. I'm like, where's the third one?
Right.
I'm like, yeah. So
here's from the comic book Sweet Tooth. This is Jeopard there. He looks very different there. Don't know what's going on with him there. Was he a hybrid in there? I don't know.
Well, that could be later on in the series.
Could be. So Tommy Jeopard is his name in here. He was a Minnesota Wildcats hockey player known for his violent temper. Now in the series, Jeopard is a former NFL player or some other league, but a football player. And we see how his story unfolds. I think they did a really great job with his character also in the TV series.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I definitely want to read the comic to see the differences. I like the differences between the shows and the comics. And some people get upset that the shows aren't exactly like comic, and I personally don't think they need to be, because sometimes you just can't translate what's in a comic into the visual as easily, dealing with different things, as well as storytelling. And sometimes when you look at the comics, it's like, yeah, they got 20 issues. It's like, yeah, that's about 30 minutes of film.
Right. Well, the other key too is how established is a comic. Like, I've never heard of Sweet Tooth prior to this. So like if a comic book, like something like Captain America, it's been around for 80 years or however long, and the character is known and loved as in the way that it was established in the comic. So when you bring a character like that to life, it's more important to stay true to what the core essence of that character is. But this Jeopard, I've never heard of Jeopard, and so I don't care what they do with this character because I have no basis for him. Right. So it really depends on what kind of following did that series have before. Guardians of the Galaxy, that was not a big series as a comic book. Mm-hmm. So when you brought that into live action, you had more leeway versus something like Captain America or Spider-Man. So it's all about how well known are these characters.
Right. And I think that's just fine. I think that, again, as long as they're getting the essence of the story, yes. And there may be things where they're expanding on, because when you're looking at what they have for source material versus where they may want to go as a series, correct, they may start saying, okay, we've got to change some things or introduce some elements that will allow us to broaden out. And most of the time they do work with the original creators. I mean, Jeff Lemire, who created the comic, is names listed throughout this whole thing. So he's working on that. It's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, the original mini series from way back, the books, the Raiders, they've all changed along the way. But Douglas Adams worked on all of them. So when fans say they were upset that the movie was different from the book in some ways, or they combined multiple books, they didn't realize that he actually wrote 95% of that screenplay that they used before he passed away. So it's still his story. And the changes made is kind of like how Lucas goes and tries to change some things in Star Wars, updating some visual effects or adding a couple elements here and there.
Well, except with Lucas, they told them they were going to use his story and completely sidelined it.
Well, I'm talking about when Lucas actually did it, not when Disney said, we're going to use your story and then shelved it. Right. Actually, I think they just shredded it. So I'm reading more and more that the Trevo, whatever, the other script they supposedly had that JJ didn't use, sounded like that was actually a really good script.
Yeah.
For Rise of Skywalker. So,
but
we'll see what happens. I'm enjoying anything new Star Wars. I enjoyed Sweet Tooth. Definitely looking forward to eventually when they get a season 2.
I want to check out moving forward. We got to wrap this up. On Paramount Plus, which used to be CBS All Access, right? They changed it to Paramount. There's a new movie called Infinite with Mark Wahlberg. So I'm thinking about checking that out.
Is that out now?
It is out now. It looks like
I'll have to watch that this week then.
I believe it's out now. I have it on my watch list. So I saw it on there. So that looks good. It's like a kind of like a reincarnation type move where like you die and you come back and over again. So that looks like I usually like those kind of movies. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to check that out. We've got Black Widow coming soon. That's starting to ramp up. Yeah. So Evil season 2 starts soon. Okay. Yeah. Kevin put that up on the screen. That was a fun series there. I really enjoyed season 1 of that. So we'll see. Yeah.
And then on Amazon Prime, July 2nd, I'm looking forward to seeing The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt.
That's right.
Yvonne Strahovski's in that. It looks really good.
So they're recruiting people from, this was a war in the future. They're coming back to this time to recruit people to fight in that future war. Is what it sounds like. So that sounds very intriguing. It's kind of a reverse, so all those time travel things I always like. So
yeah, I look forward to that. And then I didn't realize it came out yesterday. So the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is now out in theaters. So I'm gonna have to go check that out.
It's so weird. these movies coming out too, it's like we've been seeing them advertised for 1.5 years to 2 years for some of them. You know, we got Top Gun. How long have we been seeing that being advertised? We got Black Widow. The trailers for that started like December of the year before, and it's like, oh my god, that's not out yet. I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to go see that soon, and then I definitely look forward to Black Widow. In fact, my friend last time mentioned they're getting a group together. They're going to let me know if what's going on with that, because I was like, well, I got to know soon because I want to get a ticket, you know. And then by July 1st here in Michigan, I don't know about the other states, but it sounds like almost all the states too. The theater should be wide open then too, so they should offer more seats. Things like that. Go feel comfortable. If you don't, stay home. I plan on going because I'm enjoying the movies when I get a chance to go.
Right. So definitely. All right.
All right. Hey, it was a great show, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. We'll talk stuff. So have a great week, everybody.